ZCASH. As you can see, ZCASH is down 2.6% in the last 24 hours, and now it's at $538. So it's down 17% in the last 7 days. We're going to go over where I believe ZCASH is going next. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice, but let's go over ZCASH because, as you can see here, we have a bearish pattern here. This is called the rising wedge. So rising wedges are bearish patterns, obviously. And as you can see, we just now broke down below that rising wedge, and we're also on the daily chart. So that is definitely a big factor here, showing that it's an actual pattern that's going on because it's on a more long-term chart, right? So if you also look at our MACD here, we might be creating some bullish divergence here. And actually bullish divergence, or bearish divergence, bearish divergence has higher highs and lower highs on the MACD, higher highs on the chart. So looking at this, we might actually come in here for another lower high here on this MACD. So we might have another one for that MACD, which means that we might push a higher high on the chart. So there's still a possibility of a higher high on the chart, even though we just now had a pullback. It broke down below a rising wedge, right? There's still that possibility that it could push back up, right? You can't really cross that out completely because, again, if we start having buying pressure coming in here, then this could be a sign that we're having bearish divergence and we're about to have another higher high on the chart. So we do have to pay attention to that and keep that in mind as well. But right now it is looking bearish. We're coming down to the 50-day moving average, which is the red line here on the chart. That's the 50-day. And currently it's sitting at about $460. And then you can see the white line here is the 200-day moving average, which is currently at about $385. So those are two support levels that we could watch out for. So if we continue to pull back, we can watch out for those two levels there. Also, someone said something that's actually pretty interesting to me. This guy here, he says ZCASH is trading inside an ascending channel. And it's all about perspective when you're doing these trading patterns, because when you look at it from this perspective, yes, this was a rising wedge, and yes, it was correct. It broke down below the rising wedge. It was correct, and it dumped below it. But you can also look at it from the perspective that that guy is saying, and you can be like, maybe it is an ascending triangle as well, or an ascending channel. So if this is indeed an ascending channel, then this could mean that we have a bounce up that could happen soon. So there is a possibility that that could happen, right? I'm not saying that it will happen, and I'm not saying that it's going to do it, but I'm saying there's a possibility that it could. When you look at the MACD and you do the math there, and then when you look at, the perspective of saying it's an ascending channel, then, it could go up from there. But yeah, that's just like a roll the dice type of situation. It's not 100% because the percent R trend exhaustion on the daily chart is actually coming down here. So the further this comes down, the further the price drops. Whenever it decides to kind of curve upwards here and go back up, then we should have an increase in the price from there. All right, and then we have the 4-hour chart, which is a shorter term time frame here, which is going to show that we are oversold here on the percent R trend exhaustion. This is the oversold region. So we should have a bounce from here. Now, how it bounces, I don't know. Maybe it bounces like this, and this would be the perfect bounce. And that would be an immediate recovery, literally an immediate recovery in price. And it would literally shoot right back up. This is on the 4-hour chart. And that would look like this one back here. So, after things had already pumped before, we went through a bull flag, and then right here, right there on the MAC, or on the not MACD, but on the percent R trend exhaustion, we had that increase right there, that immediate increase, immediate reversal, and it immediately went right back up. So that's what we want to see currently for the percent R trend exhaustion. We want to see it come right back up immediately, like how it did before, so we can target those overbought levels on the 4-hour chart. So if it does that, then we could see a huge push, because this whole push right here was all of that. All of this right here was that. So again, there's a possibility ZCASH could have another massive pump, but we also have to look at Bitcoin and think about that. So, I can't tell you ZCASH is going to be completely bullish or completely bearish, because then when you look at Bitcoin, you're like, okay, Bitcoin is definitely dumping right now, and we're at the verge of breaking this bear flag on Bitcoin. And we know that bear flags are bearish signals, right? And we're at the verge of breaking this bear flag on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin will break everything down with it. It'll bring all the altcoins down. And that also includes Zcash. So Zcash could be broken down alongside with Bitcoin, right? And if that were to happen, then the other theory that we thought of before would be the more right one, the more correct one, where we come down to the 50-day moving average or the 200-day moving average and use that as support. So those two levels are going to be very, very, very important. So keep that in mind. Now, also, we have the weekly chart. And the weekly chart tells us a different story than the others, right? So on the weekly chart, if you were to compare this to this divergence chart, right? Just look at the MACD. We have this high right here, and then we have this lower high, right? And then when we look at the divergence chart here, that would be bearish divergence. We have lower highs on the MACD. That would then also mean that we would get higher highs on our charts. So if we look over here at our charts, we see this one is higher than this one. So there's only two options that could happen here, obviously. Now, the main one that can happen would be we have the pullback, right? And we continue to see these lightly green shaded candlesticks because that indicates selling pressure coming in, right? And then you see all that selling pressure coming in, and then boom, now you see more selling coming in. Or we could just see it not do that, and then bunch of dark green candlesticks being printed out here, showing that more buying pressure is coming in. And then that creates the next higher high for our divergence that this divergence is looking for. It's bearish divergence, but the real question here is, did it just do like a double top, right? Because double tops are bearish patterns, a bearish double top. Did it just hit a bearish double top and then dump? It could still be bearish divergence, but it just didn't create another higher high, if you know what I mean. Because, it's supposed to be higher high here and then an even higher high up here. But instead it drops here. So is this the end of it? Or will we see another push up before we get the dump? That is the main question that has to be answered here with ZCASH. So I'll leave you guys to think on that one. I can't really tell you whether or not it's going to do that or not. But we are at a region where it wouldn't really make sense for us to just completely dump here, right? Because this is the weekly chart. And typically on the weekly chart for the percent arc trend exhaustion, when we get all the way up here to these overbought levels, that's typically when we have our pullbacks. And usually you'll have both the short term and the long term trend crossing and intersecting at the same time, right? So just like they're doing here, they're crossing and they're intersecting at the top at the same time. Right here, they're crossing and they're intersecting at the top at the same time. And then you can see these red bars with the red down arrows indicating a reversal in the trend. And then the red bar here with the red down arrow indicating the reversal for the trend. And that's pretty much how it happens. Happened up there too. It doesn't typically stop 75% of the way and then just completely dump, if you know what I'm saying. So pretty much what I'm saying here is, yes, we see that it's pulling back here on the long-term trend, the little blue line here. Yes, we see it's pulling back, but that's all it is a pullback. I think we're actually about to have another push higher. And that's kind of why I've leaned more bullish towards throughout this video, because I think we have another push higher. I just can't 100% chance say that it's going to be bullish because of Bitcoin and how Bitcoin is moving, right? Zcash is showing bullish signals, but Bitcoin is showing bearish signals. So Zcash would have to go and outpace Bitcoin, which it has done before. The last dump, that's what it did. While Bitcoin was dumping, Zcash was actually pumping. And Bitcoin started to dump inside of October of 2025, and Zcash started to pump in October of 2025. And just so you guys don't think I'm just saying anything, that I'm just saying these things, look at the bottom here. From here, October 6, 2025, all the way up here, that's November 10th of 2025, right? So we take that on Zcash, and then we look at those same days on Bitcoin. October 6, 2025, right here, all the way down to November of 2025, November 10th. So all of that selling pressure Bitcoin's largest liquidation in history. I remember when that was going all over the news, Bitcoin's largest liquidation in history, Zcash went up the whole time. And then it kind of had a reversal downtrend, and then it continued downwards. All right. So what I believe can happen here with Zcash, I think we're due for another push. I think Zcash is pulling back right now, and I know this is a bearish signal, the rising wedge, but I think we're about to have another push higher and do exactly what I was saying before. And what I was saying before is this isn't the end. This is how bearish divergence is. And I always say this because this is how I trade. Bearish divergence on the MACD. Look at this bearish divergence. Lower highs on the MACD, higher highs on the chart. We have gotten the lower highs on the MACD, kind of, almost there. And now we need to get the higher high on the chart. We did the higher high here. Even this small amount of buying pressure, and this is what's going to get everybody here. This is what it's going to get you guys. This tiny amount of buying pressure. You see this right here on the MACD, right? That tiny amount of buying pressure is all of this right here. It's all of that, right? So I'm going to zoom in just so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. All of this buying pressure, all of this buying pressure right here encompasses this right here. That is hardly any buying pressure on the MACD. Imagine once we start seeing those buy candles come back in on this area on the MACD, and then you just see a little bit more of those candles, and there's probably going to be a bit more, which is going to create the next higher high. So that's why I believe right now, yes, this is a pullback. Yes, we could pull back a little more, and that's why I have those regions there set for you guys so you can see. Right now, I mean, I if you're already in, I would just stay. Like, there's no point in getting out if you're already in. But I wouldn't really recommend any new trades right here because I want to see how far it pulls back. Does it pull back to 460 and then keep going? Does it pull back to 490, pull back to 490 and then keep going? Or does it go back to the 200-day moving average at 380 and keep going? Or does it just keep going from where it's at now? So we know we're getting the pullback. How many more red candlesticks are we going to see? Are we going to see another red candlestick and then start to see the lightly red shaded ones that indicates buying pressure is coming in? Because if that's the case, we're going to see Zcash going up within the next week. So that's what we're looking at here for Zcash. And I'm rolling the dice for the bulls right now. I'm rolling the dice for the bulls. This is the same exact thing that happened to Zcash when Bitcoin had its largest liquidation in history at the all-time high, right? This is the same exact thing that happened. The literal same exact thing. And if you look back, look at all this, it's the same exact thing. But the only real question is this the high? Is this the high? Is it going to go any higher? Because if you look at what it did before, I mean, it did a double top. Boom, 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 boom. It did a double top right there. If you look at what we just did now, we just did a double top. Boom, 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 boom. But our divergence is telling us that we could have some more buying pressure coming in. So that is the only thing that's confusing right now. But we've seen it before on the last run with the divergence, where it just kind of stopped abruptly right here. If you look all the way back there, doesn't it look very similar? And this is why you can't go too hard on the bullish side, right? If you look over here, it just looks like a smaller version. It's just a smaller version. Two big green candlestick areas, one small buy right before a huge sell-off, right? And then you look over here and you see the same exact thing. Two big green candlestick areas, one small buy, followed by what? A big sell-off. So that's why you could also say, like, maybe the bears could take over like last time, or maybe they could go higher. When you look at it though, if we didn't have a big sell-off and it was indeed only a small sell-off, then that's when you would see that bearish divergence kick in, where you see that next higher high happening, right? That's when you see the next higher high playing out. But if we see that huge sell-off on the daily chart here, then that's when you know you need to really get out. So just wait and watch this daily chart. If you start to see the price speed up a lot and bigger candlesticks here on that daily chart start printing out, that's when you know like you got a big problem, right? And again, that's why I say watch these levels down here. as we come down, if we come down to 460 and bounce from there, that could be bullish potential. But if it continues down to the 200-day moving average from the 50-day and bounces from there, that could be potential. But then if it breaks that, then at that point you just gotta take that step back. You gotta take that step back. It'll hit 340. It'll probably bounce from there, and we'll see what happens. But for right now, I am leaning a little more bullish on Zcash. But anyways, let's talk about what some other people are saying here. This person here is saying what's been interesting about Zcash and move to $700 is how similar the structure is compared to the November rally and to the exact same region. Each rally pushed into the same $650 to $750 area. I think he means the October rally. I mean, it rallied for most of October and then it dumped for most of November. So I think he means that. But yeah, I would definitely agree that it does look similar to the same rally. It looks similar. But the real question is, have we already topped out? Right? That's the real question right now. And, this is what it looked like last time. Right? And then you had it breaking that trend line right there after that bearish double top. And remember, bearish double tops are bearish signals. So right after, we broke those double tops up there, you see how it just dumps below it. And then if you come and you look at this, what if we do the same thing, right? What if we do the same thing and have a continuation downwards after this relief rally? Because like I said, we hit these levels, we bounce up, we have a relief rally, and then from there, do we continue to dump? So that is a big question, very big question. All right. And then this right here, this person says 4-hour watching $500 closely. So they're targeting the $500 area at the 200-day moving average, like I was saying before. That is a level. All the way down here, I have the 200-day on the daily chart. I don't know what chart he's looking at. What chart is he looking at? I don't know. I can't see it. But on the chart that I'm looking at, this is the daily chart. On the daily chart, the daily 200-day moving average is at 380. So that is the one I'm watching, and then 450 as well. But yeah, you can catch a good relief rally from here. And if you catch a good relief rally, I would say cut the loss, or not cut the losses, but cut the gains and see what happens after that. But yeah, let's see what happens. Anyways, this is all I got for you guys today. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. Definitely hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go ahead and become a member of the channel. All that good stuff. As always, I'll be back with another video.